Okay, so we are going to start doing long division. So we've talked about the pieces of a division equation. We've got our dividend, our divisor, and our quotient. We've talked about how we can use multiplication and division as inverse operations. We have talked about what division is, dividing into equal groups. Now we're going to start dividing larger numbers. So we have 8 steps for division, and that seems like a lot, but some of them repeat, and we're going to go over it. We've got 2 different strategies that you can use, and we're going to do several problems together. So when we have our steps for division, the first thing we have to do is list our multiples. So if our division question is 56 divided by 4, whatever my divisor is, however many numbers of groups I am dividing, that's what I list my multiples for. And I list my first 9 multiples. So I just come over, and LOM is list of multiples. I'm going to come over and make my list of multiples. So I have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36. So I list my multiples. And now, here is what's super important about division. You go one number at a time. So it's going to be really overwhelming the first couple problems we do, and then you'll get into the hang of it. So step 2 is divide. But we can only do one number at a time. So what we're going to do, how many times can 4 go into 5? Ignore all of this back here for right now. Ignore the 6, just look at the 5. So to find that, I come to my list of multiples. I want to see the closest I can get to 5 without going over. So 4 is really close to 5, but let's see. 8 is too much. So 4 is the closest I can get to 5. And that is my first multiple. So that's 4 times 1. So 4 can go into 5 one time. So I'm going to put at the top DMSB. That stands for divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. So I just did 4 can go into 5 one time. I did my division. So I can put a check mark there. Now I have to multiply. And I multiply the number I just found, 1 times my divisor. 1 times 4 is 4. That 4 needs to go under the 5 because that's the number that I'm working with right now. And I can check my blocks for multiplication. Now my S stands for over here, step 4, subtract. I do 5 minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. I can check off my subtract. My B is step 5, bring it down. I can only do one number at a time, so I can only bring down, which this will get more, only one number at a time. It'll make more sense when we do 3 and 4 digit dividends. I bring my 6 down. So now my new number is 16. I've checked everything up here. I still have a number to work with. So now I start the process all over. So now I want to know, how many times can 4 go into 16 without going over? And I find, oh my goodness, 16 is an exact answer. So 4 can go into 16 4 times. So I just divided 16 divided by 4. Now I multiply. I'm only working with my 4 right now. So 4 times 4 is 16. Now I subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0. Now for bring down, I have nothing left to bring down. So I put an X there. I look for a remainder. This problem doesn't have a remainder. We're going to do a problem that does, and we'll explain that. So I know 56 divided by 4 is 14 because my remainder is 0. So my step 7 says check for remainders. I've done that. Step 8 says multiply to check my answer. So when you multiply your quotient times your divisor, and you should get your dividend. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. I got the same answer. So 56 divided by 4 equals 14. Don't stress over that. That was super fast. We're going to go work through several. That was using the standard algorithm of division. Now we're going to look at the box method of division. My students last year, most of them chose to use box method, so I'm going to show it to you. Same thing. We list our multiples. The first 9, 4, 8, 12, that was a funny 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. So you list your multiples. Now, I'm representing 56 divided by 4. I'm going to put my divisor big on the outside of the box. Since it's a 2-digit dividend, that's why I have 2 boxes. If it were a 3-digit dividend, there would be a 3rd box, and so on. And now, 56 is the number I'm dealing with. So I write the 5 in the top of one box and the 6 in the other. Notice I wrote them small. They don't take up the whole box. Now, this is similar to standard, but some people just seem to like the box better. How many times can 4 go into 5 without going over? Well, I know from doing standard that 4 was the closest I could get. And that was 1 time. Now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. So I'm still doing my divide, multiply, and subtract. My bring it down is just a little different. It turns to a BO, bring over. So I've divided and I've multiplied. Now I need to subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. So now I need to bring that 1 over. What you do is you circle whatever's left and you draw an arrow and it goes in front of that number that you have in the other box. So now I want to know how many times can 4 go into 16. So I've brought it over. I know 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I divided. Now I need to multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 16 is 0. There's nowhere to take that 0. I can't bring the 0 over anywhere. So my answer is 14. And we would check it with multiplication. Now I'm going to show you one that does have a remainder. Don't stress out over this. Just once you get the steps down, it'll seem a lot simpler. You'll get your pattern and you'll get into the swing of it. Now it is super important that you do not use a calculator for this, because when we get into problems that have remainders, the calculator's not going to give you a remainder. The calculator will give you a decimal. And that's not how we answer them in 4th grade. We answer with remainders. So you need to be able to work the problems out, because the calculator isn't going to give you a remainder. It's going to give you a decimal, and that's not what we want. So we are going to do 87 divided by 3. No, we're not. We're going to do 86 divided by 3. So I want you to pause the video, get out a piece of paper and a pencil or something to write on. Pause, start it back when you're ready. This is a longer video, but it's our introduction to division, not to fractions. So 86 divided by 3. Now we need to list our first 9 multiples of 3. So when we list our multiples, think about it. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 9 is 27. You list your first 9 multiples. Now, $86 divided by 3. And we're going to come up here in the corner and put DMSB, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down. So when your board looks like mine, you can pause the video while you're making it look like mine. You can play while you're making it look like mine. You can go ahead and pause. So I do one digit at a time. So I want to know how many times can 3 go into 8. So I'm going to come over here and see how close I can get to 8 without going over. 3, 6, 9, that's too much. Always go to the multiple that's too much and go back one. So I know 3, 6, still not there, 9, too much. Gotta go back. And that is 3 times 2 equals 6. So that means that 3 can go into 8 2 times. I'm gonna check my division box. And now I'm gonna multiply 2 times 3 equals 6. So I put my 6 directly under the 8 because that's the digit that I'm working with. Now, 8 minus 6 is 2. That's my subtract. I bring down one number at a time. So now I have 26. So now I'm going to come back to my multiples. I've checked off my bring down. Now I'm ready to start back over with my divide. I'm going to come to my multiples and count. See how close I can get to 26 without going over. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. We're getting close. 27, that's too much. I need to go back to 28. And 28 is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th multiple. That means 3 can go into 26 8 times. So I've divided. Now I'm going to multiply. 8 times 3 is 24. Now I subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. I've multiplied. Here's where it gets a little tricky. Do I have anything left to bring down? Do I have any numbers over here? I don't. So I don't have anything to bring down, but I need to look for my remainder. A remainder happens when you don't have enough to make another whole group. So I know it takes 3 to make a whole group because that's my divisor, and that tells me how large each equal group is. But I've only got 2, so I don't have enough. So we call that a remainder. The way you show that is you just do a capital R and then the number that you have left over. So 86 divided by 3 is 28 with a remainder of 2. So we've checked for remainders. Now we know that our last step is to multiply to check our answers. How do you multiply with a remainder? It's just an extra step. You multiply your whole number quotient, 28, times your divisor, 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So we get 84, and then you add on your remainder. Sorry, that looks like a multiply. 86. They match. Just an extra step. So now let's practice the same one doing box method. We know it's 86 divided by 3, so my 3 comes out for my divisor. My 8 goes in the top of this box. My 6 goes in the top of this box. List my multiples, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring over. How many times can 3 go into 8? 3, 6, 9, that's too much. Go back one. That is 1, 2 times. So we have done our divide. Now we multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. Now here's where it's different from standard algorithm. We have to bring it over. So you circle your 2 and you draw the arrow and bring it over in front of that 6. You now have 26. So for this, now we've done our checks to start over. How close can I get to 26 without going over? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. That's too much. Go back to 24. And I know 3 times 8 is 24. Now I'm going to multiply. 8 times 3, we just said that's 24. And when I subtract them, I get 2. So 2 is what I have left. But I don't have anywhere to bring it over. So if you have a remainder with box method and you can't bring it over, then you have to bring it up and put your R in front of it to show that it's your remainder. 28, remainder 2. So as you're working through these, you can try some standard, you can try some box, see which one works best for you. We are going to do one more example. I know this video is getting long. And then you will be able to do some practice. Okay, we are going to do 43 divided by 5. So 43 divided by 5, 43 divided by 5. We're actually going to start with the box method this time so we can see that answer before we do standard. So I know my first step is always to list my first 9 multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. That's my 9th multiple. Now, I chose this one because you might have some like this. So I start out with my divide. So I know I'm looking for 4. That's the number I'm looking for. I want to get as close as I can to 4 without going over. But I start at 5, so I already start going over. So how many times can 5 go into 4? 0 times. If your divisor is bigger than the digit of the quotient that you're working with, the answer is 0. So it can go in 0 times. Now we multiply. 0 times 5 is 0. 4 minus 0 is still 4. Now I have to bring the 4 over. So now I'm dealing with 43. So how many times can 5 go into 43 without going over? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, I'm getting close. 45, that's too much. So how many, 40 is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th multiple of 5. So that means 5 can go into 43 8 times. I've done my division. 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract them. You get 3. Well, I can't bring it over, so that means I have to bring it up, and it's my remainder. 8, remainder 3. To check it, remember, you do the whole number quotient times the divisor. 8 times 5 is 40, plus my remainder, 43. And that was my original dividend. We'll try it again over here. List my multiples. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. How many times can 5 go into 4? I start out already too much. So that's a 0. 0 times 5 is 0. 4 minus 0, that gives me 4. And then I'm going to bring down my 3. I've got check marks all across, so now I'm ready to start back. How many times can 5 go into 43? I want to get as close as I can without going over. 40 is getting close, 45 is too much, so I need to back it up 1. 5 times 8 is 40, so 5 can go into 43 8 times. There was my D, there was my divide. Now I multiply. 8 times 5 is 40. I'm going to subtract 43 minus 40, which gives me 3. My B, bring down. I have nothing left to bring down. So when I put an X there, it tells me, number 7, check for my remainder. I have a remainder of 3. I don't have enough to make another whole group. So that comes up as my remainder 3, and we checked it right here. We know that 8 remainder 3 is the correct answer for 43 divided by 5.